All right. Hello, everybody. We're back again. Um, yeah, I don't have any pre Q and A questions, so um, let's start off with some news. We had that big gig. I think I told you guys about it before. The brass trio, and basically almost everything else in my life had to be put on hold for a while I prepared music for that. Now I had bought brass trio music. Um, but it was all, not that there's anything wrong with Christmas carols and stuff like that. I think it's all public domain stuff. And this event, I figured that probably uh, it would be more appropriate to have some of the Christmas songs. And so I wrote a bunch of those for the brass trio. For my trio, it's I switched to trombone a while ago. A lot of trios will do trumpet, French horn, trombone. Um, I I've been using trumpet, trombone, tuba, and I like that a whole bunch more. Um, anyway, so yeah, that was done. We're back in full swing, publishing one composition per week. I'm tempted, just a little bit tempted, to up that to two, just because these brass trios. Now that I've got recordings of video of those pieces, it would be nice to get those up now. Um, so anyway, any questions? Feel free to ask whatever you want to ask. Um, we'll calmly wait. Yeah, and I'm having response issues because on that gig, this was Wednesday night. I do 2 hours of brass trio, and then I do another 3 hours playing with a pop, sort of pop jazz um, on stage. We start off out in the foyer, and then for the jazz stuff, we go to the stage, and my lips, woo, are just like hamburger now. So I think what I just played as the intro here was probably the worst intro I've done on one of these Q and A's. Let's redo the intro and see if I can do a better job with that. Just a little better. Just a little better. Yeah, so what else? What else? What else? It's been a week since the last one. Really, the biggest thing was just getting ready for that gig. Um, got a gig tomorrow night. It's the season, right? There's Sean. Hello, Sean. Last week we talked about trumpet master classes. I just looked on YouTube and they have trumpet master classes that have been recorded. Not as good as live, but actually, I don't think there's anything. We talk about um, on the trumpet. You want to hear some live uh, trumpet playing live is the best, right? And I guess if you add the whole experience thing, but to me that's a tough sell for me. Um, so yes, you get to meet people and you get to not necessarily meeting the famous person, right? I biblically, the Bible says not to be a respecter of persons, and we have. So I think that that's that's for rich people and poor people, or people in the middle class and people upper class, and we should treat all them the same. But I like to apply that to all ways that people are divided up. So you have the beginners and the ultra successful trumpet players. I don't believe we're supposed to treat them any differently. So to be able to meet one of these famous people, I don't regard that as an advantage. So to me, really, when the difference between going to a master class live and seeing it on the video is not that you get to meet the person, but that you get to meet and hang out with the other trumpet players in that. So now you're part of the community. But aside from that, when we're just looking at what you're going to learn, there is no difference between the YouTube and going live. I actually have a playlist. Let's see if I can find this. I have a playlist of master classes that I have found online. I don't know. There it is, trumpet master classes. Now it includes sometimes interviews. I'm gonna put this. I'm gonna post this on the chat. So there's a link to my playlist of master classes that I've found. It also, like I said, it also has interviews. Like there is a Clifford Brown interview, and yeah, there's just a bunch of really nice. I think most of them are jazz. It looks there's a couple classical ones on there, but most of them are jazz. I really like this this professional thing that they did with Mark Inouye is on there. Um, there's some things that he says in this video. I think it's the fourth one down. One, two, three, four, the fifth one down. And there's stuff he talks about, like comparing it to surfing and stuff like that. And I've been, um, you know, using surfing analogies for a long time, but the way he lays it out really makes a lot of sense. Hello, Cardo. He says, hello, Eddie and friends. Hope you're all doing fine. I am. Thank you. Um, so yes, the nothing wrong with going to the YouTube master classes. There's a whole bunch more on there than what I have listed, of course. And I wish I had time to go, you know, we have, yes, this is like the Ecclesiastes, right? Where it says there's a time for this and a time for that and a time for this and a time for that. I'm at a point in my career where I don't have, and for this to make sense, right? For this to sound the way I mean it to sound, you have to understand that for 30 years of my career, I was hungry for every little piece of information I could get from wherever I could get it. I devoured for 30 years. I devoured with a hunger whatever trumpet information I could find. And today, I just don't have the time. It's not mentioning Ecclesiastes, right? It's not that time now. I just it's not the right time now for me to be spending that much time trying to learn more about trumpet. Cardo says, Eddie, when a mouthpiece makes every note sound in tune, is that a sign that the mouthpiece is a good fit for you? Well, here's what I've learned is that I'm going to first say yes. I think that helps a lot. Um, I don't think a lot of people check pitch on their mouthpiece, but yes, I think. But here's what I discovered now that I have this kit is that it's the backbore that changes the intonation. Now, also the throat can, but I don't believe in messing with the throat like other people do. You gotta have some stability. If you have too many variables, things go nuts. So I've experimented in the past with opening up a backboard. I don't mess with that anymore. And now that I've got this kit, I realize I don't have to. There's there's plenty to change just by changing the backboard. Plenty to change just by changing the cup and the rim and stuff like that. But yes, I would agree with you. Let's put it this way. Let's be more detailed than just that. Um, we would never want to play on a mouthpiece that doesn't have. And when you say every note, to me, what we see is a change in the octaves, right? So like the octaves can get compressed or expanded just by changing the mouthpiece. You can have, this is why some people play flat or sharp in the upper register or flat or sharp in the lower register, is because their octaves aren't tuned, because everything has been compressed. All the intervals have been compressed or all the intervals have been expanded. Um, it's an amazing thing, really, when you think about it, because you would think that something like that is a little less significant than what it looks, but it's the opposite way around because it's the smallest opening on the whole system. It makes the biggest difference. So, yes, that's something I just discovered recently because of this Warburton kit that I bought, um, and just playing around with stuff. So definitely now, when we do a mouthpiece fitting, I'm going to include. I'm not going to change my method because I do have a method for fitting a mouthpiece. I'm not going to change my method. I'm just going to add to it. So it's the same order. But when we get to the end and it's time to pick a backboard, that's one of the things we're going to be looking for is whether or not the octaves are compressed or whatever. So yes, definitely pitch is going to be one of those important things. Any other questions? I've been very, very tired lately trying to, this is a weird thing, right? All my life I've slouched. My whole life. No, I never had one of those teachers or scout leaders or church people what that you hear about um, constantly telling you to sit up straight or walk upright or everything. I've always slouched. The only thing I've ever had was my mom every once in a while complaining about me slouching. And I'll tell you what, I have to totally relearn how to play trumpet because the way I learned to play trumpet is as a sloucher. And it's actually been very difficult. I actually cut my routine down um, to just the player level now. As I get used to this, right? I'm trying to bring the horn up. I'm standing the way or sitting the way I'm trying to change to, and then bring the horn up to that. That's not how I play. You guys can see that in the videos, right? Um, and it's just so aside from just being so different that I feel like I'm relearning how to play it, it's also exhausting. All the muscles in my back are tired. You can tell with my voice I'm exhausted. Um, I've only been at it for 3 days. I have tried in the past to stand up straight for other reasons. I'm not going to tell you what the reason is today. Um, and I could never get past the first couple weeks. So this is a new adventure for me. Um, hello, Jeffrey. Hello, trumpet tradesman. Trumpet tradesman says, wow, why did that happen? What are you talking? What? Why did I? Why did I try this? Oh, why was I slouching? Um, I don't know. It's just the way I always did it. Um, I don't think there was ever a time in my whole life that I didn't slouch. And yeah, so uh, it's you know I think every 2 years I do something major in my horn to make things better. This time it's not for my horn playing, it's for my general health. And um, yeah, so the even though the reason, oh, he says no. But yeah, so um, I remember when I switched from dry to wet. Okay. I remember when I switched dry to wet, that was a huge change. And I remember when I changed my hand position, that was a huge change. Um, so I know I can pull this off because I've done so many of these in the past. Sean says, one of your Q and A videos, you gave us a list of jazz players to listen to, Dizzy, Miles Bird, etc. I think you said be careful listening to more modern players. Just wondering why. if I heard right. So when we're talking in the Q and A or in the lessons, we're talking about your education, your musical, your trumpet education. When we work with, when we listen to the old guys, those guys that you just listed, and there's a bunch of them. Anybody on the so-called trumpet family tree, the jazz trumpet family tree, any of those guys on that family tree, they're all right. Clark Terry, Art Farmer, any of those guys are all right. The and you're going to get what you need from those listening to those guys. When you listen to somebody else, and I'm not going to name names because I don't put people down and I don't have any intention to put people down. We're talking about what's good for you as part of your jazz education, your trumpet education. Okay. Um, we're, you know, if you listen to those guys, you get that benefit. There are there are more modern players that you can listen to that you won't get that benefit from because they don't play like that. So, for example, as much as I love some of the avant garde stuff, I love the avant garde. I listen to the avant garde. Um, if you don't have already a foundation of listening to the, we call them the masters, right? If you don't have a foundation of listening to those guys, listening to the avant garde stuff is not going to help you much to do what it is you want to do. Now, I tried to make it clear in that video that I'm not saying thou shalt not listen to those other players. If you like, and this is also true for the smooth jazz stuff and stuff like that. It's just that a lot of the modern stuff is just not as rich as the older stuff. So it's just better for you as a trumpet person learning how to play jazz. Um, it's better for you to listen to the older stuff. That's why I said that. Um, Seppo says, "Hi, Master. Hello. Nice to see you again. I'm going to try to send you an email." Trumpet Tradesman says, "Once I memorize all my skills, what is the best proven practice for allowing 3 1-hour sessions to practice? How can I get the most out of this as a beginner at 39?" Um, so I recommend that you, first of all, I do believe in splitting half and half. Half of your practice time should be on, well, let's put it this way. Um, no more than half of your practice time should be on exercises, and at least half of your practice time should be spent on actual pieces of music. And if you're a beginner, you should be working on beginner songs already. So I have a list that I do with my students. I'll open it and read off the list to you. So now some of these I have simplified so that they're a little easier than the actual real songs. Like, for example, I have Amazing Grace, but it's in four instead of three. It goes, Amazing Grace, right? No, no, I don't. At that level, I don't have eighth notes. It would be Amazing Grace, how sweet the sound, like that. Because at that stage, we're not doing 3/4 yet. So I've got Hot Cross Buns as the first one. Mary Had a Little Lamb, Cotton Eye Joe. My students love Cotton Eye Joe. It's it's just one song, one note away from Mary Had a Little Lamb, right? So here's Mary Had a Little Lamb. I hope I can play it. Oh, I can't play it. Woo-wee. I need to do some repair. All right, here's Cotton Eye Joe. Okay. So yeah, so Cotton Eye Joe, Old Joe Clark, Barlem, Cabbage Down, Go Up, Go Tell Aunt Rhody, When the Saints. Now this is a easy version of When the Saints Go Marching In. All quarter notes and half notes and such. Jingle Bells, Long, Long Ago, London Bridge, Twinkle Little Star. And by the way, I've got a bunch of these on my YouTube channel. If you do a search uh, for Eddie Lewis and fill in the blank, let's see what if that comes up right. Let's see if that works. Because I have a book called the Trumpet Folk Fill in the Blank. See if this comes up. It should. Yes, it does. You'll see a bunch and they have little cartoons at the top, or banner, little illustrations that my wife wrote for the song. Um, and it's sort of like a play along. The music is on there. So you type Eddie Lewis, fill in the blank, and I'll put this in the chat. And these are songs that are at a very easy level. And yeah, I think those are easy enough to get started. But yes, over half of your time should be spent on that. Now, as for what exercises that you do, I teach what I call the physical trumpet pyramid. I think maybe you left a comment on one of those. Let me check. I haven't. It's been over a week since I responded to any comments, so I apologize. I know you have a few on here that I haven't responded to. So anyway, so no, you haven't. it's you haven't commented on that one. So if you haven't watched the physical trumpet pyramid, then you might look for the physical trumpet pyramid. That explains the exercises that I think. Now, when you're talking about scales, I'm not a big fan of the do re mi scales. Um, and we've talked about these a lot on the previous Q and A's. I teach first expansion exercises where you. So the problem with scales is that, and I've been saying this for since the late 80s, that scales, as we do them traditionally, scales are just a skeleton of the key. Traditional scales are just a skeleton of the key, and they're not nearly as beneficial as what I teach. So we first start with the expansion studies, which the expansion studies are great for introducing yourself to a new key. So, like if there's a scale that you haven't learned yet, on the tonalization. So I don't consider if someone knows da, 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 if someone knows that, they're still not ready for my tonalization studies because the that stops at the octave. Even if they do the Arvin stuff, the Arvin still leaves out part of your range on each one of the scales. So, um, so I still want them to do the um, expansion study before they do my tonalization studies. Now, tonalization studies should be for the rest of your trumpet career. Tonalization studies should be for the rest of your trumpet playing career. I am still doing them. You can't do them too many times. So, anyway, um, Trumpet Tradesman says, "You are my favorite teacher." Well, thank you so much. I appreciate hearing that. Um, I'm learning Oh Holy Night. Well, that's good. That's one of the videos you left a comment on. Um, I'm glad you're trying to learn that. Very good. Seppo says, "Do you have an opinion about different curriculums and artwork lists the trumpet teachers are bound in their institutions?" Um, no, I don't. The what I went through was amazing. It's a list that was originally from the University of North Texas, and so my college teacher in El Paso was a graduate of University of North Texas. I think it's back then it was called NTSU, North Texas State University. Now it's University of North Texas. Um, and it was a exhaustive list, and we went through almost everything on that list. It was a four page list of books, and we went through every single one of them. Now I know that some people accuse that kind of teaching as being etude checking, but I'll tell you what, there's some huge benefit to being an etude checker. You know, when I was in high school, we did like one etude in 3 months. Then got to college, and my teacher was expecting a minimum of 5 etudes per week as an assignment. 5 etudes per week. Um, you can complain and say, "Oh, that's just etude checking," but I got a lot out of that. Don't get me wrong. This is the problem with our society today, is that we're so quick to say that this is a bad thing and that's a bad thing, and really it's all rooted in hatred. Um, a lot of the stuff that they're saying is bad is because you're not doing this thing that I teach. If you're not doing this thing that I teach, then that is bad. When in reality, a mixture of all that stuff is a good thing. I was I had A2 checking. I don't want to say that about my teacher because it wasn't just A2 checking, but the demand of having to get that much music prepared so quickly, that has an impact. And when you do it year after year after year, there something changes in your playing. Then, in contrast to that, my last teacher, who was the second trumpet in the Houston Symphony, my last teacher, there was one etude we spent 6 months on. He wasn't going to move on from that etude until I got it right. I don't think one way is wrong and the other way is right. I benefited from both of those. So anyway, so the point I'm trying to make is that I, those lists that are put together at the for these, like you said, curriculums, um those are almost always thoughtful, even if the person presenting it wasn't the original person, right? So let's say at high school sometimes someone will just have what their college professor required of them and require that of their students. um but I'm, I said something earlier about this. I've always been hungry for trumpet information. I think that's what happened. So I said my last teacher, technically he wasn't last. I had a bad experience with my actual last teacher because we clashed. I didn't even finish the semester with him. And sometimes I think that the reason why we clashed is because I took this stuff too seriously. Sometimes I think that's the reason why. Because when he said stuff that didn't make sense to me, I questioned him. I didn't question him in a defying manner. I questioned him because it wasn't making sense to me yet. And I wanted it to make sense. I wanted to know what he knew. Sometimes I say he's a bad teacher, and I should never have said that. That wasn't right. I think I say that sometimes out of being hurt. Not hurt by him necessarily, but hurt by what happened. Because I moved my family here to study with that man. And I was so extremely disappointed when that didn't work out. Um, but yes, I was so hungry and eager to learn from him. And our personalities just didn't work out. And he told me to never come back. And, you know, um, and so, yes, yeah, every teacher I worked with had a different curriculum, and I consider every single one of them to be valuable. So I don't, in that sense, I don't have an opinion. Here's the thing about my method is it works with everybody else's method. Now, if your teacher, if the curriculum says You have to practice these exercises in this order, and that doesn't match with what I'm teaching, then you're not really doing my method, right? Which is not a catastrophe. I heard a friend of mine give a master class in San Antonio, and she tells the students just mix it up, uh, play them in whatever order you want to play them in, and that way you don't get bored and stuff like that. That's entirely opposite of what I teach. I think there's value in what she's saying. I would never do it that way because I know how much benefit there is to doing the physical trumpet pyramid order. Um, anyway, Trumpet Tradesman says, I can already play Amazing Grace. Hey, that's great. Congratulations. I can play 14 tunes. Well, then it sounds like you're on your way to doing what I teach. I just learned how to read music. I'm a set above what you are thinking. There you go. Wonderful. I'm already a subscriber to you. Thank you. Well, thank you for subscribing. Um, I did watch, he says he watched the physical trumpet pyramid and he says he's going to watch it again. Good. Oh, he says he'll be scheduling a lesson. Woohoo! Very good. Thank you. All right. Raimo. Hello, Raimo. Nice to see you. Um, Raimo says greetings. And some time ago, you recommended one of your Chops books. I forgot which one. Please tell me again which of your 6 Chops books might be most useful for me for daily practice. I now play to G5. G5. What is G5? That's um, that's probably G above the staff, right? I don't use those numbers anymore. Sorry. Too many people get confused with that. Um, so that's the Trumpet Chops player book. That's the one that would work best for you. I've been doing that one almost every day now since I've started standing up straight. um, I didn't practice yesterday. I haven't practiced today yet. That's why I sound so terrible. Um, because my lips need to repair themselves from Wednesday night. Um, anyway, I'm slouching again. You see that? Oh man, it just makes me so tired sitting up straight. Oh, mm, I feel like a schoolboy sitting like this. It feels unnatural. Just sitting like this, it feels unnatural. But I look at myself in the video, and it's like that looks normal. You must have looked like a uh, like a lazy bum in the past. I I went to the grocery store today. There's a Kroger coupon where you get 4 times the fuel points. So I go to Kroger and walk around and buy stuff. And I'm making myself the whole time walk around like this. And it's interesting to me because I'm the kind of guy that always makes eye contact if someone's coming the other direction. I always make eye contact. Most people ignore me. But when I'm walking around upright like this, and we know about body language and stuff like that, and people how people respond to what things look like. So I'm walking through this door, and there's this like whole new level of respect that people have It's the same me. I'm the same person. Um, and yet, because I'm standing up straight, people that would have not acknowledged me in the past, with a head nod or whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know. And having interaction with the people there that work there, it's a whole different experience. I'm not one of those guys that believes you should do that sort of thing to make people behave differently towards you. I don't believe in that. That's a form of witchcraft as far as I'm concerned. Anytime you make people behave a different way, that's witchcraft. And I'm not into that. And I'm not into trying to control other people. Um, so but standing up straight obviously has some, for people who are interested in that, obviously has some social benefit. Trumpet Tradesman says, I could listen to you talk about any beginner advice you have all day. I can tell you have many years of valuable knowledge, or any advice you have. Well, thanks. The biggest advice that I have, and I do have a video series about this, I think it's a series. You can Let me do a search on that too. I've got so many videos. I've got over 1,200 videos. Over 1,200. Let me do a search for wholesome. Nope, it's not a series. It's just one video. I'll put the link here. This is the most important advice that I have to give for any trumpet player. Whether you're a beginner or a seasoned pro, I just put the link right now to that video. I would like that to eventually be one of my books, a subject for one of my books. Hello, Karen. Karen says, thanks for the reminder, so sit up straight. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I get so exhausted by the end of the day. Anyway, Seppo says, as I do not know about the American curriculum in trumpet, are there any nationwide trends in the list of artwork every player goes through? Which pieces remain the standard? I would not. Okay, so I would not say so. The standards. There's a very small. There's a very small number of pieces that everybody regards as important to keep in in the list, right? The Haydn, the Hummel, those are the top two. I don't even know why. That when we look at it as an educator, the Haydn and the Hummel are not relevant to what we do today. So well, I should, that's just how I feel about it. Another one would be that everybody plays is the Petite Piece Concertante. Now that's a little bit on the easier side. Petite Piece, I think, is on most people's list. And then you've got, let me look at my list. I have all of my pieces. I have every single one of them scanned. My son used to live with us. I told him, you don't get to live here without paying rent. And since you don't have money, you're going to work for me. He worked for me 2 hours a day. And one of those things I had him do was scan all my solos. Um, so let me look here. Things that we could say are standard that everybody should do. Um, I'm not even going to say Artunian, right? Because Artunian, there's some people that's not on their list. So there really is not a standard. Ballet Andante et Allegro. That's another one that I think is on most people's list. Um, the bossa lead is becoming, I think, a little bit more popular, but no, it doesn't fit. If we take a compilation of everybody's list that I've ever been exposed to, that's still not on there. And you know what? The reason why is because there's just so much of this stuff. Now, Clark, Maid of the Mist might be one that you could say about Clark. What else do we have? Oh, you know what? There's the UNESCO legend is becoming a lot closer to being on that list too. Botad by Gabay. That's one that's pretty much on everybody's list. Oh, Gedeki Concert Etude is also on everybody's list. As far as my experience goes, I told you about the Haydn. The Hindemith Sonata also is on everybody's list. Now, these are college level, the ones I'm talking about. At the lower level, there's no standard. Hummel, the Ketting Entrada is on, I would say, is on the list. I'm almost through. I've got a lot of Rafael Mendez stuff, but those wouldn't be on. The Neruda is once again gaining popularity. I like the Neruda more than I like the Haydn and the Hummel. Yeah, other than that, I'm not seeing the Roparts. Andante et Allegro, Roparts is definitely on the list. Almost done here. Yeah, I think that's it. Okay, that's it. Anyway. All right. So yes, those that I read off are pretty much standard to everybody. But those, like I said, those are university level. At the lower levels, I do not believe there's a standard. Seriously, I don't believe there's a standard. Um, Karen says, video link you sent says it's private and will not be. Oh, which one? That last one? Let me look at that. Oh! Why is that? I just changed it. Maybe I don't like it. I don't know. Why is that? There's a chance maybe I just didn't like it. There's also a chance. There's also a chance that I didn't finish. How many views does it have? It says it's got 73 views. How in the world did it get 73 views if it was private? It must have somewhere along the way must have gone private by accident. Yes, look at that. Let me do all time. It will tell me when so sometime around August of 2019. August of 2019, it went private. How in the world that happened, I have no clue. It's not private now, so I apologize for that. I have no clue how that happened. Thank you for pointing that out. Oh, Raimo's telling me that too. Hello, Botman. I, I I don't know how to pronounce that. Botman Ministries. It says, I enjoy your teachings and experiences. Keep shining. Well, thank you very much, sir. All right. Trumpet Tradesman says, I must go. I will schedule a lesson. Thank you. God bless you. Well, thank you very much. I look forward to hearing from you. Karen says that it works now. Yeah. How that happened? I wish there was a way to sort videos on here according to that. So that I could actually see which ones were private. So we have also visibility. See, it doesn't let you sort according to visibility. Yeah, it doesn't let me do that. So when you have 1,200 videos, it's easy for these things to just slip through. And I don't have an easy way to check on them. All right. Seppo says that was a good list of pieces. Thank you. Well, you're welcome. It's nice having it on my computer like that. The reason I had him scan them was because I do these with my students. I think I have, if I go to a different view, it would tell me how many are in details, maybe. Yeah, it doesn't tell me. In the old days, it would tell you how many items were in that folder. And it's not telling me now. Anyway, it's like 200 or 300 trumpet solos in there for all levels. James says, hello, James, by the way. I'm ready to move on to Chops Master. Woo! Haha. With the exception of multiple tonguing section holding me back. Don't worry about that. Those are not playable. I'll explain that in a second. Ka syllable in low register seems to be tough to master. Is that common? So that depends on how you're playing in the low register. That's why those exercises are there. It's not so that you don't think, don't fall into that way of thinking that those exercises are to help you with your double tongue. That's not what it's for. When you add double tongue to everything else you do, or triple tongue, it forces everything else to be right. So if you're having a problem in the lower register with the ka, you might have for the low notes, you might be overcompensating with the jaw, opening up too much. Or some, I'm not suggesting that is what it is. I'm saying that's a possibility. So, and I'm not saying that, also, I'm not saying that you should do anything to change that. What happens, the whole concept of these exercises is that you confront this every single day, and over time, the issues that happen work themselves out. And you end up being a better overall player, not just a better double tonguer, but an overall. Now, to be more specific, to answer your question, everybody when they first start off has trouble double tonguing in the lower register. Um, they used to say that if someone wrote double tonguing down in the lower register, like below the staff, that guy was a jerk. So I remember people saying that. What a jerk! What a jerk! Why would he write that? Because nobody can do it, right? But when you confront that every single time, they say the same thing about the upper register, that you shouldn't double and triple tongue in the upper register. I think that's all due to a lack of familiarity and that on that issue, right? I think that's just due to a lack of familiarity. When you confront this on a regular basis, things change, and it's all mental. It's all subconscious. That's what the whole routine thing is for, is to change your programming, your mental programming. James says, tongue on that syllable in the low register seems to block airflow and I get more throaty sound. I am practicing these daily now. Should I wait to move on until I can clean these up? No, I wouldn't, because those exercises are just to push you. When I'm playing them, I'm not playing them in tempo. I think I've made this clear on the Q and A's before. When I do those more difficult articulate double tongue, triple tongue exercises, I'm doing them in slow enough that I could single tongue them. Da, 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 da. I'm doing them real slow like that. Okay. And the more difficult it is, the slower I'm going to go. And once again, I'm going to say it again. This is not for improving your double tongue. It's for improving everything else. It's for improving everything else. He says, I thought they seemed unusually difficult. Yes, they are. That's on purpose. That's on purpose. So yes, don't even try to play them in tempo. I don't play them in tempo. Now, as the years go, playing the same exercises over and over again, they do become faster. But that's not the goal. That's not the objective. We don't do it for that reason. Okay? It's really just to make the rest of the horn better. Hello, Jordan. Jordan says, how do you like the pudgy? I like it. Oh, aloha from Hawaii. Well, that's great. I went to junior high in Hawaii. Waiua Intermediate is where I went to junior high. Both years, 7th and 8th grade, I was there. That's on the island of Oahu. So he asks, so do I like the pudgy? I like the pudgy. Let me be clear about that though. And I told this guy when I bought it exactly what I'm telling you now. It's not appropriate for most of what I do. Even the videos, it's not appropriate for a lot of what I do. I like the sound of it. I like the sound of it maybe a little bit too much. I can tell you that it's a little harder to play because of that adjustable tuning slide. Let me show you guys. And maybe I'm using it wrong, but if you look at this, here's the bell, and it comes to this slide. It's not the first valve slide. Here's the first valve slide. Here's the, the tuning slide on the bell. So when I'm playing this and I move it out, it moves every note, not just this fingering. And that's just a little bit harder to play. And I like to, you know, that old saying that says, with more freedom comes greater freedom brings greater responsibility, or something along those lines. It's attributed to Roosevelt, I think, or maybe his wife. And then we find out that someone else said that before she did or he did. But it's a very common saying, with greater freedom comes greater responsibility. I have the freedom on here to tune every single note. But now I have the responsibility to tune every single note. And that's not as easy as it sounds. It's not as easy as it sounds. So once again, I like now, when I say I might be doing it wrong, when I keep my slide about here, because it doesn't make sense to me to have it all the way in. If you have it all the way in, you can't make something sharper. So I tune it with the slide about a ½ inch out, and you'll see that right now it's all the way in. So I tune it with the slide about this far out. That way, if I have to, I can pull it in or I can pull it out. And but I've had it a couple years now, a few years, and it's still hard for me. And part of that is because, like I said, it's not appropriate for every gig that I do. I've only played it on, since I bought it, I've only played it on maybe half a dozen gigs. So yes, it's not for what I do, for the kind of work I do on the gig scene, it's not appropriate. Okay, so the horn I play on is my Bach, and it's appropriate for almost everything. This is a Bach 72 with a uh, 25 lead pipe, 25 reverse. So this is the horn. This is my workhorse. That's how we say that. This is my workhorse. Um, I've literally played over 1,000 gigs, I think, on this horn, maybe more than that. Um, so let me do some calculations here. I'll tell you how many gigs I've played on that, aside from just practicing. Right at 1,000. I've played at least 1,000 gigs on that horn. So, and what mouthpiece do I use? Well, that's a tough question, right? Let me just say that the mouthpiece that I'm playing on is big. So I had to get away from Bach mouthpiece sizes because they weren't big enough. So yeah, so the I'm not one, I wouldn't normally go with a custom size of anything, right? But the box didn't go big enough, and so that's when I started. Um, right now, I have my shell keys in because I'm experimenting. I want to see, but I also sell the Warburtons, and I've been playing on the Warburtons too. I switched back to the shell key just momentarily. Oh, actually, I have the Warburton on here. This is what I use for most of the gigs. It's a 2SV. So it's got a wide diameter, but it's shallow. And I got the the KT star backbore on that. But I've been shifting around on different mouthpieces. I haven't really found a single mouthpiece yet that feels real good to me. I think here's my theory right now. And I can't be 100% certain about this, but I am 100 pounds lighter than the highest weight I ever was, which was in the late 90s. In the late 90s, I was about 275, 280. I am now currently hovering around 175. My suspicion is that the different fat content in the lips is making me need to have a different mouthpiece. I've lost, I think, 50 pounds in the last 3 years, and um, yes, I think that has changed my mouthpiece size, and I just haven't been able to find anything that feels right. Richie, hello, Richie. Welcome to the Q and A. He says, "What do you think of piccolo trumpets? I bought one just to try it, but I have no mouthpiece for it. It was not included. Do I need a special one?" It depends on what you bought. Some piccolo trumpets take a cornet mouthpiece, and other piccolo trumpets take a trumpet mouthpiece. And you should have a shallower mouthpiece on the piccolo trumpet than you do on your regular trumpet. Unless you're a lead trumpet player, then that's you can. I for a long time used the same uh, mouthpiece on my piccolo as I did on the gig. So it's not uncommon for me to use this mouthpiece, which it's in my trumpet right now. because of the gig that I played on Wednesday night. It's not the mouthpiece I used for the brass trio part of the gig. I had to switch mouthpieces. Brass trio, I had a bigger mouthpiece, a deeper mouthpiece, and then for the commercial stuff, I switched to this mouthpiece. Um, so if your if your piccolo does take a trumpet mouthpiece, you would want something like that. The S on this company, on the Warburton, the S means shallow. So not necessarily a special mouthpiece. So you asked, what do I think of piccolo trumpets? They're part of the tools that we have. I like mine. It's a Yamaha. I'll pull it out real quick. This is actually one of the best horns I've ever had. I always keep it in the case. And I think the reason why it looks so beautiful and brand new is because I keep putting it back in the case. I have a friend who bought his about the same time as I bought mine. And his is all pitted, and this instrument is 35 years old. And it looks like it just came out of like I just bought it. Yeah, I love this horn. Anyway, so yes, I think it's in such good shape because I keep putting it back away. I don't leave it out. And you see, I use the same mouthpiece as what was on my trumpet. All right. Well, we're a bit over time, quite a bit over time. We don't usually go this long. Well, I guess we'll close it down. Nice to see all you guys, and thank you for hanging out with us. And we'll see you on the next one. God bless you. Have a great week and weekend.